Well, thank you all for coming. I'm Katie Cole with Clarity Wealth Development, a financial planner here in town. And I have worked a lot with people and have seen that one of the problems they have is trying to balance kind of that money issue, whether it's they have debt or their guilt feelings or shame or actually maybe good feelings about money. And when I work with people doing financial planning and investing, it starts to show that maybe we need to go back a step and look at how your money habits, your money scripts, what those kind of things are doing to your financial and your own well-being. So one of the things I want people to do is kind of think about what is your relationship with money. So one of the things we just go back and look at, what's your first memory of money? If you think back, one of mine is these, anybody remember the dime books back in, these were, I think this is the late 60s, early 70s, where the bank would give you a little book and you could put your dimes in. And actually, since this was 1970, there's actually some silver dimes in here when I found this in all my keepsakes. And this was the Delta Savings and Loan Association in Delta, Colorado, which is no longer in existence. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. But another memory of money for me was playing store when I was a kid. I'd make my brother buy stuff from me. And you know, I didn't always make him use real money, but if he had real money, that was even a bonus for me. But just have him make him buy and play store games like that. So just as an exercise, think back, what's your first memory of money? So there's a saying, it says, it is impossible to achieve ultimate meaning from that which cannot give ultimate meaning. What do we kind of mean by that is, if you don't have real meaning in how you're dealing with money, you can't associate good feelings with it. And one of those things is money scripts. You know, what do you say when you think about money? A lot of people say, well, there's never going to be enough money. I'm not going to have enough. Or money is to be spent, not saved. Or just the opposite. Money is to be saved, not spent. I don't deserve money. Another one, if you are good, the universe will provide. And another one I hear sometimes, it can't get any better than this for me. In other words, they don't really feel like they're going to get any better with their money situation. So that's another question I pose to you is, how would you end the sentence, what is money to me? Or money is, and then come up with something what you think money is about. Sometimes images of money are things like anger, frustration, or when talking to a client one time, they said it was like having a big weight on their ankle. So I tried to have them imagine what does that look like. So they told me that they had a huge weight on their ankle just pulling them and sucking them down because they didn't have a good sense of how money was just a drag on them. It was filled with guilt and shame, and they just felt it was a huge burden. And when I was asked what money is to me, I thought of it more as I have a picture of holding a dollar bill's hand and saying, yep, okay, I'm ready to take money and be friends with it so that I can go off and do the things I want to do and not so much feeling like I have to do something. So one of the steps we do when dealing with kind of our money scripts and how we deal with money is in denial. And it's kind of the same steps of almost any issue somebody's dealing with is they go through denial first. I don't have a problem. I'm good with money. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, I'll worry about it later. Retirement, that's such a long ways away. I'm not going to worry about it. And then they have like an ostrich in the sand. They just have their head down deep and I'm just not going to deal with it. So famous quote from Albert Einstein, everybody's probably heard this one. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and again and expecting a different result. One of my favorites of those quotes is, if you don't do something different and have an intervention, whether it's with family or friends or with a professional, you're never going to change your money habits and change how you do things. The next is the exploring your past. So those money scripts I talk about, your first memory of money, that's a great way to go back and look and see how you dealt with money, what your past. For me, I was a saver as a kid, so I still do that because it was something I've done in the past. But I also have to learn how to balance that saving with also doing some things that I've been wanting to do or those goals I've had. Some people, it's just the opposite. They're spenders, and they do retail theraposis, which is basically going and shopping to make themselves feel better, and then coming home and regretting it because now they spent that money, and now they've got shame over spending that money. And instead of taking all that stuff back and getting their money back, most people just keep it and throw it in a closet. So the step 3 is understanding where you are right now. So you've got your past. Now, have you changed anything, or are you still with those money scripts in the past? And if you are, maybe you need to look at what you are currently doing to see if you can get to where you want to be. And that's where the next step is figuring out, okay, now I understand what I'm doing. I'm not saving enough, or I'm spending too much, or I need to figure out some better goals. I need to have a plan. Just having a plan in place sometimes is the big catalyst for change. And then making that transformation. So you go from a caterpillar to a butterfly, and now you're got a very good relationship with money. You're enjoying life, you're doing things you want to do, and you've got a plan going forward. So another quote I had too was, this was a song. It was recorded by Don McLean. It's called "You Can't Blame the Train." And it goes, when the gates are all down and the signals are flashing, this whistle is screaming in vain, and you stay on the tracks ignoring the facts, well, you can't blame the wreck on the train. No, you can't blame the wreck on the train. So one of the things when I work with people too, where I try to do some of that imaging and going through things and trying to figure out what's good, going through your money scripts, figuring out what that relationship is with money so that you can change things going forward. So if you really want more information, there's a couple books I do recommend. One is The Financial Wisdom of Ebenezer Scrooge. And the other one's Wild Money, is done with an author up in Portland who it's using art therapy really to deal with your issues with money. So both books are really good. The Wild Money is great for people who have more artistic tendencies and can express themselves visually. And then the Ebenezer Scrooge is great for people who are more, I want specific to-dos and specific tasks and things to do. And it's basically kind of a little bit of homework. You go through the book. It's one of the ones I've taught classes, and I'd love to teach more on just how you deal with money. What I do is get a group of people together, and
Is that the one you did?
Yes.
About 10 of us?
Yep. And we go through those exercises of what your images are, what your past relationship with money is. And it's a great way to kind of figure that out. Yes? So one of the therapies in trying to change that habit of actually buying things is you can still go out and shop. And if something makes you feel good but your issue is you buy it and then you feel guilty, thing is to go out shopping and go with a friend and tell them that I'm going to go out shopping, but I don't want you to let me buy anything. We'll look, and if I find something I really like, then we'll come back the next day and buy it. So you kind of put that off for a day, and usually by that next day the euphoria is gone and that dopamine isn't swirling around in the brain, and you don't go back and purchase it. So you have to be disciplined, and if you're not disciplined yourself, it's good to have somebody who is, and they say, nope, sorry, you can't buy that today. If you really like it, we'll come back tomorrow and pick it up. So that's just one little trick in doing that kind of stuff. The other thing is, if you do buy stuff and you feel guilty about it the next day, take it back and return it and get your money back. It's hard to do, but it might help. And then by doing that, sometimes you get those good feelings of, oh, I didn't spend that money, and you start reversing kind of that trend. And then another tip too is just having, if you've got something you really want, but you take your time and really research, look into it, and the more time you do that, the less likely you are to buy unless it's something you really, really want. So she's asking about, a while ago, you used to be able to put money in a savings money market account and earn some interest. Nowadays, you can't earn any interest in short-term savings. So people are kind of turned off to saving because they're not quite ready to invest the money, but they also know they need to save it. So unfortunately, until things kind of turn around the economy, you're not really going to get those kind of interest rates. But there are some things you can do to maybe even invest a small portion of that to try to earn a little bit more, but keep some of it in some cash savings for those purchases or needs you have. And that's the goal, is trying to figure out, if I need to buy something in the next year or two, can I save enough for that? But maybe I can invest a little bit in something else, or put it in a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA or something, and try to earn a little bit more on that savings. Because a lot of people can do a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. Even with a little bit of money, you can start one for $50 a month if you wanted to. Well, thank you for coming. I appreciate you listening to me, and I appreciate your questions and being involved. And if you'd like more information, please give me a call. I'm just right down the street here from here. My number is 541-753-1898. Clarity Wealth Development. Thank you very much.
Thank you.